Hi, this is Teacher Jennifer from U.S. Citizenship Podcast. Happy African American History Month. Today we continue our exploration of African American history by pairing it with a history question from the USCIS 100 questions. Let's get started. Question 1. In 1619, slaves were brought to Jamestown, Virginia. This first group was treated as indentured servants. Later, the laws changed and a slave's status not only became permanent, a slave's children became slaves too. Question: what group of people was taken to America and sold as slaves? A. Africans, B. Asians, C. Europeans, D. Native Americans. Question 2. During a tax protest, British soldiers shot into a crowd, killing Crispus Attucks and others. This incident is called the Boston Massacre, and Attucks is remembered as the first patriot killed for American independence. Question: why did the colonists fight the British? A. Capitalism, B. High taxes, C. Low taxes, D. Slavery. Question 3. After the death of his first wife, the writer of the Declaration of Independence fell in love with Sally Hemings, the half-sister of his first wife. Although Sally was a slave, the writer never married another woman and had several children with her. Question: who wrote the Declaration of Independence? A. Alexander Hamilton, B. George Washington, C. John Adams, D. Thomas Jefferson. Question 4. Phyllis Wheatley was kidnapped by slavers and taken to America. Her new master taught her to read and write Greek and Latin. In 1775, she wrote a poem celebrating the commander-in-chief of the Continental Army, which added to his fame. Question: who is the father of our country? A. Alexander Hamilton, B. George Washington, C. John Adams, D. Thomas Jefferson. Question 5. When the Constitution was written, it included a clause that would stop the importation of foreign slaves in 1808, yet domestic slavery continued. Question: what year was the Constitution written? A. 1775, B. 1776, C. 1787, D. 1789. Question 6. Benjamin Banneker was a surveyor who mapped the new federal district from land that bordered Maryland, Virginia, and the Potomac River. Question: what is the capital of the United States? A. Baltimore, B. New York City, C. Philadelphia, D. Washington, D.C. Question 7. Although he was a slave, York was an equal member of the Lewis and Clark expedition because of his excellent woodsmanship. When the expedition returned to, quote, civilization, unquote, York resisted resuming his subservient status. It was later reported that he escaped to the territory that he once explored. Question: what territory did the United States buy from France in 1803? A. Louisiana, B. Mississippi, C. Missouri, D. Oregon. Question 8. Sojourner Truth was an escaped slave who sued her former master because he tried to sell Sojourner's son into slavery. She won. Later, she worked with Susan B. Anthony against slavery and for the equal treatment of women. Question: what did Susan B. Anthony and Sojourner Truth do? A. Fought for civil rights. B. Fought for prisoners' rights. C. Fought for property rights. D. Fought for workers' rights. Question 10. Dred Scott was born a slave in Virginia. His master took Scott's family to Wisconsin Territory, where slavery was illegal. After his master died, the widow tried to sell the Scott family. Scott sued, claiming that his family was now free. The case was appealed all the way to the Supreme Court, which ruled that slaves were property, not citizens. The ruling enraged the pro- and anti-slavery movements and further divided the North and the South. Question: name one problem that led to the Civil War. A. Capitalism. B. Citizenship. C. Property rights. D. Slavery. Question 11. Harriet Tubman was a runaway slave who led other slaves to freedom. In a letter to President Lincoln, she compared slavery to a biting snake. No matter how many times a doctor cuts out a snake bite, the patient would die unless the snake is killed. In 1863, Lincoln cut off the head of the snake by signing the Emancipation Proclamation. Question: what was one important thing that Abraham Lincoln did? A. Answered people's letters. B. Freed the slaves. C. Killed snakes. D. Started the Civil War. Question 12. In 1863, President Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation. However, the news did not reach Texas until June 19, 1865, which is now celebrated as Juneteenth. Question: what did the Emancipation Proclamation do? A. Built schools for slaves. B. Freed the slaves. C. Gave land to slaves. D. Paid wages to slaves. Question 13. Although African Americans have served with honor in every American war, they were frequently assigned to segregated units. In 1848, President Harry S. Truman signed the Executive Order 9981, which abolished racial discrimination in the U.S. Armed Forces and eventually led to the end of segregation in the services. Question: name one war fought by the United States in the 1900s. A. American Revolution. B. Civil War. C. Korean War. D. War in Afghanistan. Question 14. In the 1954 case, Brown versus the Board of Education of Topeka, Kansas, the Supreme Court declared that segregated schools were unconstitutional. After this decision, Black students who tried to register in previously all-white schools were blocked by violent mobs. In one such incident, President Eisenhower sent the National Guard to protect the Little Rock Nine as they went to school. The teenagers' courage in the face of so much prejudice and hatred led to the integration of not only their school, but other schools and public facilities as well. Question: what movement tried to end racial discrimination? A. Anti-war movement. B. Civil rights movement. C. Gay liberation movement. D. Women's liberation movement. Question 15. During the March on Washington rally, Martin Luther King Jr. delivered his I Have a Dream speech at the Lincoln Memorial. He said that his dream was rooted in the American belief that all men are created equal. After the march, Martin Luther King and other civil rights leaders met with President Kennedy and Vice President Johnson in the White House. This meeting led to the passage to the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965. Question: what did Martin Luther King Jr. and his companions do? A. Fought against civil rights. B. Limited voting rights. C. Supported communism. D. Worked for equality for all Americans. Thanks to the students and staff of Milpitas Adult School. Please visit us on the web at uscitizenpod.com, where you will find the PDF for this quiz and more resources for African American History Month. Also, check out our resources for Lunar New Year and for President's Day. Thanks for listening. I know you will be a great American citizen. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.